Hello everyone, my name is Nevaeh and I'm part of the Melon System, and I know this is a little bit different because usually the host Cece is the one who is making the videos, but I wanted to talk about something that is actually really important, and we have gotten many questions about this, and it is how to handle being in a relationship or a friendship with a system. So let's get started. One of the biggest things of being with a system is understanding boundaries and setting boundaries. And what I mean by this is either it's you setting boundaries or the system, which is setting boundaries. It is a very, very big thing because not all alters, since they are distinct different parts. We're going to make another video of what DID is. I think we already have one, but we might go into a more in-depth video. But as we know, if you know what a system is, dissociative identity disorder, or OSDD, other specified dissociative disorder. And one of the biggest things is setting those boundaries. What you need to know is that since these are distinct, different identities, alternates of consciousness, you need to understand that not everyone is going to like you in the same way. So let's put it this way. Let's say you are in a romantic relationship with a specific alter. That doesn't mean that the other alters within the system is going to see you romantically. So it is really, really, really important to recognize that you need to respect those boundaries of other alters. Sometimes systems, they do not want you to know anything about other alters, and sometimes they do. But one of our biggest tips is do not neglect the other alters. Try to build your own individual relationship. It doesn't have to mean romantic or friendship. Whatever that relationship is, you need to help build a trust with other alters as well, because it helps not only building relationships with other alters, it gives the system a feeling that you are a safe space for them. But keep in mind, not a lot of systems like that. They just want you to be with this one particular person. But one of our biggest tips is accept everyone for who they are and who is out. Never, and I mean never, try to negatively or positively trigger out your partner or an alter without permission. It is 100% okay to miss your partner, but that is something that is very disorienting for systems, and positive triggers and negative triggers should only be used in times of need and with permission of the other alters. You need to understand that you can't always just ask for an alter to come out. It is not that easy, especially for newer systems. A lot of systems don't have very good communication or don't have really good communication at all. And you need to understand that just because you want this certain alter out, that doesn't mean that that is going to happen. That's when it ties on to building a relationship with each alter. And then you can start to talk about, oh, well, maybe I can be a caregiver for the littles, or I can be a friend to the littles, or maybe we can talk about me also dating this other alter, or things along those lines. You know, it's really, really, really important to be patient, because this disorder is one of the worst symptoms of PTSD. So you need to make sure to listen to their boundaries, their triggers, and what to do and what not to do. Make sure you ask them what they're comfortable with, what they're not. If this is a strictly intimate and sexual relationship with this alter, if it's romantic, if it's just a friendship, you need to make sure that the rest of the system is okay with this as well, because a lot of times some systems only want you to know this one specific alter, meaning that you can only have a specific relationship with this certain alter. And this is something that can be pretty hard, but it's also something that can be pretty common, because it is going to take time for a system to trust you, especially if they have a really, really big head count. So don't stress out if they don't want you to know anyone else, and don't stress out if they do want you to know and you haven't met everybody. There are different ways that alters can communicate and to know you as a person. So just always be patient. Just be patient. Now, as we're speaking about communication, another big thing is communication within you, the system, and your partner. Communication is very, very, very important. Make sure you let the system know if you ever feel uncomfortable, and allow them to tell you if they feel uncomfortable. There are going to be tough times, especially with systems. There is going to be flashbacks. There are going to be times of dissociation. There are going to be times where they do not want to talk or that they will isolate themselves. But your main objective is to make them feel safe. But there are times that systems can hurt the feelings of their partner. So one of the biggest things you want to do is also communicate that, or say something like, hey, what this alter said to me really hurt my feelings. Do you think you can get a protector or let someone know? Because that really did hurt my feelings, and it really made me sad or angry or want to cry. That is a really big thing that you also want to communicate with. And the same thing goes for the other side. If the system feels as if they've been disrespected or any alter has been disrespected, make sure you both set those boundaries and have a very light conversation explaining, hey, I don't know who this person was, who member of your system this was, which member, but this really hurt my feelings, or vice versa, and say, hey, you actually said something that was quite hurtful and harmful to one of the alters, or to me. And make sure you just share that communication and tell each other how the things that they say feels to you and to others. Now, one of the biggest things when it comes to friendships is also being patient. When you're friends with the system, it is a lot more different than being in a romantic relationship with a system or a system member. When it comes to friendships, there's going to be a lot of more boundaries. Not saying that you can't have the same amount of boundaries in a romantic relationship, but with a romantic relationship, there's more, there's more trust, there's more, not going to say intimacy, but there's a lot more romance and there's a lot more trust that's built into that relationship. When it comes to friendships, it is more of a casual thing. It is more of, you are my close friend, you are my friend, this is platonic, this is a safe space, but we are friends. So there's obviously going to be a lot more strict boundaries when it comes to that. One of those boundaries can be no physical touch. Now, this can go for romantic relationships as well, but a lot of times systems, if you are not close to them in that certain way, they're not always going to want to hug. They're not always going to want to high five. But when it comes to romantic relationships, of course, there's going to be a lot more physical touch. Not always, but just saying. So another thing for friendships is that when you are a friend, sometimes you are just friends with one specific alter, or you're friends with the whole system in its own way. But you need to understand that not every alter is going to want you as a friend, and you need to accept that. That goes the same way with romantic feelings. Not every alter is going to want to be your friend. Not every alter is going to want to be your partner or want to love you romantically or even associate with you. And that's one of the hard things about having a relationship with a system. And that's why you really need to be prepared to put yourself in those shoes. So if you ever do catch any feelings or romantic feelings or want to be friends with a system, you need to understand that not only being in a romantic relationship or a safe space for a system, that is a really big responsibility. When it comes to a friendship, it can be a lot more, how do I put this? It's a lot more mutual, and sometimes you guys won't talk for days because there's a lot of dissociation. And a lot of times they're not going to want to call or FaceTime. A lot of times that is not what most systems don't want to do. But don't feel pressured to have to be with a system or feel pressured to have to put yourself in those shoes or to fully understand a system. Because one thing is, if you are not a system, you're not going to completely understand what it's like, and that is okay. You're not always going to be able to handle such a big responsibility like that, and that is okay. But one of the things that you do need to be cautious of is don't put yourself in those shoes. Don't promise that system something that you will be a safe space or that you will be able to handle something this extreme. The reason why I am saying this is because we are also a victim of that. And a lot of times different parts are going to see this person differently. And this person needs to be able to accept that and understand that and all the boundaries. It is very important. If you ever feel drained in a relationship with a system, you don't have to feel like you have to stay just because they are a system. It doesn't matter if you're a singlet or a system. If you're feeling drained in that relationship, you have every right to exit yourself out of it. But you do need to remember that when you're with the system, you need to make sure that you're aware of what you're going to be dealing with. But if that system is breaking your boundaries, you have every right to leave. Same goes for them. I hope this helped a little bit, and I really hope that this helps some of you guys, especially singlets, and can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Stay stinky.